If you thought the story ended last time, think again, because today the truth is coming out. But be warned, the secrets hidden beneath the tracks are far darker than you could ever imagine. And this time, someone's going to pay the price. Now, let's pick up where we left off. The train had stopped. The platform outside was covered in a dense fog, thick enough to make it impossible to see anything beyond a few feet. Jack stood frozen in the aisle, staring at the open door. It was the same station, the one he had seen when the train first pulled into the darkness, but there was something off about it. The walls of the station were moving, pulsating, alive. The conductor's voice crackled through the intercom again. Last chance. Exit now, or stay here forever. Forever. The word echoed in Jack's mind as he stared at the fog. He felt something pulling him, but it wasn't the train. It was the fog and the shadows. Who else was on the train? The passengers were all gone, vanishing one by one. But Jack could hear faint whispers, footsteps in the distance like they were waiting for him, following him. As he stepped closer to the open door, his heart raced. That's when he saw it. A figure standing in the fog, tall, thin, unnaturally still. It was a woman. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow like she hadn't blinked in years. Her mouth barely moved as she whispered, "Do you know why you're here?" Jack froze. He wanted to run, but his feet were glued to the floor. She took a slow step forward, her hand reaching toward him, her fingers stretched unnaturally long. "You shouldn't have stayed." Before he could even react, the train jolted violently, and the door slammed shut behind him. The train lurched forward again, but it wasn't moving on tracks anymore. It was moving through memories. The landscape outside the windows changed. It shifted from the misty platform to Jack's childhood home. He was no longer on a train. He was on a ride through his own forgotten past. The faces of his family, his mother, his father, and his little brother, all appeared watching from the windows. They were smiling, but there was something wrong with their eyes. Empty, hollow. Watching him. He closed his eyes and looked away, but when he opened them again, the train had stopped. This time, the station was his funeral. There was his coffin, surrounded by mourners. He could hear his own name being whispered. And there, standing alone at the front of the room, was the woman from the fog. "This is where it ends, Jack." She raised her hand slowly, and in an instant, the door slammed, open again. Jack stepped out, back into the darkness, away from everything familiar. But the fog had already consumed him. As the train sped deeper into the void, Jack realized something horrifying. It was all a test, a nightmare, and he was the one who had caused it. Years ago, Jack had taken something that didn't belong to him, a small innocent item. But it had triggered something ancient, something dark. And now, the train was going to take him where all lost souls end up, back to where it all started, to the very place he stole it from. Jack turned around to find that the train's windows had disappeared. There was no more view, no more escape. The voice of the conductor returned. "The price of staying is your soul, the price of leaving him is far worse." Jack's heart pounded in his chest. The train began to slow, and with a sudden jolt, it stopped completely. Everything went still. The only sound was Jack's ragged breathing. He heard the voice again. But this time, it was no longer coming from the conductor. It was from behind him, from the fog. The same woman. "You've reached the end. There's nowhere to run now." Jack turned around slowly, his breath catching in his throat. What he saw made his blood run cold. In the fog, standing directly behind him, was his own reflection, except it wasn't him, it was someone else. A shadowy version of himself with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. The figure raised a hand pointing at him. "You never should have come." The doors of the train slammed shut, and the darkness swallowed him whole. And just like that Jack was never seen again. The story ends here, but the question lingers. Who was Jack really, and what happened to him in the end? The train may have left the station, but the mystery remains. Remember, the station is always there, waiting. And sometimes the price of staying is far higher than we realize.